Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. We start with football. Well, Jamaica's top-flight football, the Wray and Nephew Premier League's 2024-25 season, kicked off on Sunday with 3 fixtures. At Ferdinand Park, last season's beaten finalists Mount Pleasant got their campaign off to a winning start, blanking Portmore United 2-0 with goals from Sule McCalla and Shaquille Bradford. Well, over at the Wembley Centre of Excellence now, home team Montego Bay United picked up a comfortable 4-1 win over their Phoenix. And in SportsMax's game of the day, Arnett Gardens got the better of Dunbeholden by 3-0. So let's take a look now at those highlights.
So we got off promptly at about 7:30, and here's the first Warner Brown chance, but slipping, regained his footing. The shot high, his first chance. Then Dunbeholden will have something to say on the attacking front, because Dean Andre Thomas won possession here, and look at the strike. Hutchinson and Arnett Gardens goalkeeper at full stretch to ensure that it didn't swing back. But watch as they Dunbeholden skipper lost possession. Shea Smith with a lovely pass over the top. The defenders not in the frame. Warner Brown didn't try to strike it too hard. Just tried to drift it away from Damien Hyatt at good pace. And he got his finish perfect. Then look at this. Gavin Burton in possession, muscled off the ball by Warner Brown, saying this is big man ball, youth. And he steals in. Plants it out of Hyatt's reach. The fans loving it. This is the play once again. Burton slipping after being barged over by Warner Brown. And just closed his foot on the strike. Far left corner. Goal. This is a Juma Johnson. One of the few times in the first half that Dunbeholden threatened. And Shamari Dyer was on the hand to steer it clear. Lovely reverse pass by Arbon to Shane Watts, the centre half, who had come from the back to help his attackers. And he should have been rewarded with an assist, because Shea Smith had the goal gaping. Could have gone high or low in the end. The crossbar, the only point of contact. And then this is Shea Smith once again. Good save from Damien Hyatt. And then look at this. This is Arbon. Thomas to Arbon, checks it on the right foot. Pick that out, goalkeeper. A thing of beauty from Kimani Arbon. And then he does the dance. I think they call that the chaka chaka to celebrate. Lovely play. This is why the players do piggy in the middle, or rondo, as they call it on the continent in Europe. Sharp interchange of passes. And then Shea Smith once again at the depth. Damien Hyatt diving at his feet. Daniel Parchment calling a halt to proceedings with 93 minutes on the clock. Tail of the tape. Arnett, 14 attempts overall, a half of them on target. A half of those attempts by Dunbeholden on target as well, but at 3. 18 fouls in the contest, 12 committed by Arnett Gardens, 1 yellow card apiece, 5 offside calls in the game, and Arnett had 52% possession over the course of the 93 minutes. We have interviews.
All right, let's now hear what both coaches had to say post-game.
Offensively, we hit it tonight. We put them under a little bit of pressure. You know, we were aggressive with our press. And it worked for us, you know. And I mean, our speed up top, I mean, they really couldn't contain it. So credit must be given. We could have scored a couple more goals, but nevertheless, 3-0 win for a start. I'm happy with that.
Could see a bit of conflict in terms of what the players want to do out there. And I think that affected us. But I mean, Arnett Gardens scored after 2 mistakes that we made. They were clinical off those 2 mistakes. And going down so early, it was always going to be a tough game for us. This is early. I mean, we had a bad game today and we lost. There are a lot of games coming up, and we'll get it right. The unit is a good unit, and we definitely believe in the talent that the boys have there. So we know we'll get it right.
All right, so Arnett, of course, getting the better of Dunbeholden in that opening match. Just to note, the Tivoli Gardens and Malines United fixture was postponed due to the passing of Tivoli's Delano Daly, while the Humberline versus Cavalier was postponed due to Cavalier's participation in the Caribbean Cup. So, Lance, we have to say the curtains have, risen when it comes to the JPL action. We know the JPL, serves up different types of storylines, a lot of excitement. It's only one weekend gone, and I'm already excited to see who ends up as the league's top goal scorer. But let's talk a bit now about Arnett versus Dunbeholden. Arnett with their coach Xavier Gilbert looking so happy to start the season with a win, looking very, very confident. And we heard from the Dunbeholden coach saying that, he's not too worried because, it's just one game, Lance. We just got started.
Yeah, I take both points from the coaches because I understand Philip Williams' position that it's the start of the season, the longest season in the history of the Jamaica Premier League football, because each team will play 39 regular season games before the playoffs. So a very, very long season. So no need to press any panic buttons with a bad result in your first game. And to add to that, I agree with Philip Williams as well that based on his roster, I do expect Dunbeholden to recover from this result, because when you look at the players in their team, they have very, very good players. It's their first game under the new coach, so I guess that is part of the gelling process that has to happen at Dunbeholden to get them firing on all cylinders. But Dunbeholden is a quality team, and I don't think that yesterday's result was a true reflection of what this team will offer for the 24-25 season. Having said that, I also agree with Xavier Gilbert, the Arnett Garns coach, that 3-0 could have been 6.
Yes.
Because there were some other good opportunities Arnett had to score. Shea Smith had a couple of one-on-ones with the goalkeeper, Damien Hart, and did well to save them. So Shea Smith could have scored 2 or 3 goals on the night, so that would have been 6 if he was on target. Damien had spent a lot of time at Arnett Gardens, won Premier League titles with them, now keeping for Dunbeholden, so he was in an atmosphere that he's familiar with. Although in his earlier years in Premier League football, it would have been an atmosphere for him that was a home support kind of thing. But in last night's case, he was not the home goalkeeper because he's not Arnett Gardens anymore. But a very satisfying result for Arnett Gardens, especially coming off their announcement a week and a half ago with a dream partnership, and a lot going on for Arnett Gardens and a lot of prospects for them to flourish in the coming season, not only with their football results, having started the summer well with winning the CONCACAF Caribbean Club Shield title, but also the brand Arnett Gardens and what is in store for them as an entity with a dream partnership. And I hope for Arnett's sake that they will have a good season and have them flourish, because to be very honest, I think Arnett Gardens and the ownership of the club should take a lot of credit for the growth of this club. I remember when I used to do radio commentary on Premier League football, at the time it was the National Cravenay Premier League, the Arnett Gardens field, which we now embraced as one of the top grounds in the country,
yes,
was nothing like this. The quality of the surface was about 20% of what it is now. There were no stands, there was no commentary booth, so the growth of Arnett Gardens as a football club is something that I think the community can feel very, very proud of, and they should cherish that. And I think one of the benefits that they have is that their training ground is the nearby Charles Smith School.
Yes.
That's where they train. So unlike many of the other clubs in Premier League football who train on their match ground, they don't train on their match ground. So I think that is part of the reason why Arnett Gardens playing facilities would be at the moment superior to the others that we have in the country, because it is not overused.
Yeah.
And I think that's where many of the fields we have in the country suffer, because they are overused.
Correct.
They're used for training constantly throughout the week, and then the same surface is used for match day on a weekend or on a Monday night.
Yeah, such an important point. And, you know, Lance, that will go to play a big part as the season continues. And you stress the point of, you know, there being a lot more matches this season than previously, you know, creating history, of course, more matches. And we will be looking forward to see how the teams progresses. And another thing I thought about while you were making your point is, you know, it's so early in the season and we don't want to even think about injuries, but a longer season provides that, right? It sets up that area for us to discuss that. And I'm hoping that, you know, this season, the ones that are contenders for a lot of goals and everything just stay injury free, because it's so important. And it always gets me worried when I think, okay, a lot of matches, they complain about it in the EPL and in other like Champions League competitions and everything. So the first thing I thought when I heard a lot of JPL matches, you know, some more matches, I'm like, yeah, it gives the opportunity for players to showcase their talent. But I can't help but have that in the back of my mind.
Yeah, and it is a cause of concern for sure, and it highlights the fact that the teams need depth in their squads. Because if you have such a long season, longer than you have had before, then the issue of injuries, which is undeniable. Injuries will happen no matter how much you try to make your players fit and ready, and you have your medical staff in place. Playing football week in and week out, there's a guarantee that you're going to have injuries. And the teams that will be least bothered by that would be the teams that have a deeper bench, teams like Mount Pleasant and so on, because they have, you know, a very deep roster, which is what you need, especially in this season, which is longer than the seasons we've had before. Because when key players are missing because of injury, if you have good go-to players coming off the bench, then it makes your injury issue not as stark as it would if you just have a strong 11 and then, you know, the players on the substitute bench aren't of high quality. Because for years I've been watching Mount Pleasant play, and I see players sitting on the bench who would be starters in most of the other teams.
Yeah.
So the teams that have strong benches and deep squads will have less to worry about with the injury factor. I want to say quickly as well the condolences to the Tivoli Gardens camp and Waterhouse as well, because Delano Daly, who died on Saturday morning early at about 3:40 in a horrific car crash, had just left Waterhouse to start the new season at Tivoli Gardens, and the Tivoli team, you know, came to training on Saturday morning with this horrible news that their teammate had perished in a car crash with his cousin, and two others died in the car crash as well. And it was horrific. It was fiery.
Yeah.
And, you know, your condolences to the family and friends of Delano Daly and teammates, both at Waterhouse and Tivoli Gardens. Not the way that we would have wanted to start the Premier League, because this accident happened less than 48 hours before the start of the tournament. So a sad side to the start of the Premier League. But I guess, you know, we hope that there are experts who can get close to the Tivoli Gardens team and talk to the players, because they'll be going through a lot. Of course, as you mentioned earlier on, their match was postponed because of Delano Daly's death. But, you know, from the SportsMax Zone, we send condolences to the family, friends, and everyone close to the deceased footballer as he was getting ready to start a new career at Tivoli.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we have a lot more sport to talk, because the weekend, wow, so many different sporting results, and we want to try to get through as much as we can. Break time.